Pleasant morning to our many listeners and viewers, locally, regionally, and in the many time zones across the world. Welcome to another episode of Voices. My name is Socrates, and we're broadcasting from WINNFM 98.9. And it's Monday, another beautiful day in the Federation. And in our studios today, we have a very, very special guest, in the person of Dr. Joan Rollins. Among other things, I know she wears many hats, but she's also the president of the, is it St. Nevis Alzheimer's Association? And today, I think it marks the 7th anniversary since the formation of that organization. And today we'll be speaking on that topic, entertaining questions, generally informing about what happens to, about the society, what has happened since our last discussion, what has happened over the 7 years since this formation. I had a short chat with the chap in the circus a while ago, and he promised to call me because he says it's a very important topic. And not many persons are versed on it, are aware of it, are ill-equipped to handle situations. So we're going to pause for a word from our sponsors. When we return, we'll open up with a song written specifically for this topic, and then we'll hear from Dr. Rollins. So, engineer, take it away, please.
Staying healthy has taken on a whole new meaning these days. So we ask, why do you put your health first?
As a business professional, I need to make the most out of my work days.
I'm a teacher, and I want to be there for my students.
In sports, I have to be in top form for my team.
Motherhood, I just got to keep up with my kids.
Because my patients rely on me to be at my best.
Staying healthy is important for many of us, and Halib Orange makes it easy. Just one 1,000 milligram tablet of vitamin C gives your immune system a flavorful boost, leaving you protected and feeling good for the day ahead. Halib Orange Vitamin C. Just pop the cap, drop it in water, let it fizz, and enjoy. Part of the Halib Orange family.
Your computer or phone is your Flow cashier. Thanks to Fast Pay on our website, it's a quick and easy way to pay your bills anytime on any device. No need to register. Simply select the bill to be paid, enter your account number or mobile number and the amount you wish to pay, plus where to email the receipt. Then make the credit card payment. It's that easy. Fast Pay for Flow bill payments at discoverflow.co.
Insurance Company Limited. We care about your investment. Guarantee you peace of mind. The best team in the business. Guarantee you peace of mind. No other company will guarantee you peace of mind. Together we'll succeed and guarantee you peace of mind. TDC Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
This crippling form of dementia, of which millions around the world are trying to cope. From early onset Alzheimer's to the advanced stages, there is no hope. From this crisis, with your cognitive faculties gone, you won't recognize your own children. The burning shame is when you can't recall your own name. Having lost your memory, all your precious memories erased by this dread disease we know as Alzheimer's. Routine activities once performed with so much ease now become complexities you cannot decipher. You cannot be left alone to bathe on your own. It's a case of once a man, twice a baby. You must be in the charge of caregivers or loving family members. The irony is that of this you'll have no memory.
Okay. And I think Dr. Rollins will have something to say about that particular song, what it means to her organization. So, Dr. Rollins, welcome once again to the studios of WIN FM. No stranger here. So please, the mic is yours. You might want to take it a bit closer. Yes. And Wallace.
Yes, thank you so much, Socrates.
You're very welcome.
And good morning, radio listeners, and to the viewers out there. I'm just wondering where the year has gone. It was like a year ago. I was here with Socrates. He invited me.
A whole year.
A whole
I'm
year.
thinking like 6 months ago.
I know it's gone very quickly. I mean,
a whole year.
A whole year.
Seriously.
We came here for the 6th anniversary of our association. Now it's the 7th.
The 7th, yes.
So I'm here again to talk about the 7th anniversary of the Alzheimer's Association of St. Kitts and Nevis. And first, I want to thank Socrates for the song which you just heard. Precious Memories. It's just a beautiful song, a wonderful song. We played it at our meeting. We had a Zoom meeting of our association last Monday, a week ago.
Yes.
And I played the song. We play the song at all our meetings now because Socrates has very kindly offered it to us as our theme song. We can use it as our theme song for all our meetings, for all our functions. And I have to discuss it with him whether we can share it with the other Alzheimer's associations of the Caribbean. I hope it will be okay for us to do that.
It is certainly okay. You got it live and direct from me on the air. It is certainly okay.
Thank you so much,
It's a great
because
cause.
I didn't share it with them as yet, but I told them about it, so they were hoping and praying that it would be okay with
Tell them, I know the fellow, man. I know the fellow. We're tight, so.
Yes, I
no
would tell
problem.
them. In fact, my son, I told him that I know Socrates, and he was impressed. You know Socrates.
Imagine that.
My son was so impressed, and I'm very, very happy that we know Socrates because his song is called Precious Memories. And it speaks specifically to this business of Alzheimer's disease. He speaks about no more memories. You can't remember this. You don't know your own name. You cannot be left alone. You have caregivers. I mean, the whole range of issues are covered in his song. And at the meeting, a few of the persons that we last Monday had heard of it, but a couple said, we hadn't heard it before. And I'm thinking, this song is so beautiful, so wonderful, so specific, addresses this important issue. Why is it that it wasn't out there in a big way? And I think it still needs to go out there.
It doesn't speak to the walk up and jam and wine. This song was written, by me and given to one of my calypsonians in our Calypso tent about maybe 5 years ago. And she rendered it beautifully.
Yes.
But then nobody take these kind of, they didn't take the topic serious.
Yes.
They didn't take the song serious, so it would have been forgotten. Had it not been for our conversation where he said, let me go and redo it and give it the mileage that it needs, the exposure,
yes,
to bring awareness to the topic.
And don't worry about it. We will certainly give it the mileage it needs. It will get mileage, all right. It will. I will even let the International Association have a sound of it. Okay, I will let them know we're using it.
And it came from St. Kitts.
And it came from, of course,
Yes,
and that is very important. It came from St. Kitts. It's here in St. Kitts, and we're using it. And it's a song that needs more mileage. And you talk about the mileage. Some topics do not get the mileage they need.
Correct.
And unfortunately, the Alzheimer's topic is one of those. Like this morning, I'm coming here on the program to talk about the 7th anniversary of our association. That means the association was founded by myself.
7 years ago.
7 years ago, I got together a bunch of friends from the Seniors Club, that I'm already a member of the Seniors Club.
Yes.
And the Ripple Institute also helped us. And we put together this association, which has been going for 7 years. And we've done, I think, a fair amount of work. We've done good work. Our main mission is to provide support, encouragement, comfort, and services where we can to the people with dementia and their caregivers, and to try to get stigma reduced about Alzheimer's. And I think the reason why your song did not get the mileage it deserves, it's to do with stigma. The stigma being a situation where people have a certain attitude to particular conditions. And the attitude is like, we don't want to be associated with it. We don't want to be too close to it because we don't want people to know that maybe our relatives and friends have this condition.
And they hide.
Yeah.
Some of them hide their loved ones
They do.
from the public.
Which is not good. In order to provide the kind of support and comfort to people that we should provide, you can't be hiding people away. The neighbors need to know to start with that your relative is not what they used to be before, that they're forgetful, that they might wander out of the house, and so on. So this stigma has to go away. We cannot deal properly with the
We
condition.
also miss out on the educational value, the opportunity to be better educated to deal with this.
Yes, and you're so correct there. And people, when they come to our association meetings, the ones who are brave enough to come out to the meetings, and sometimes they come in desperation because they just don't know where else to turn, they're glad for the education.
Yes.
Because by that education, they are better able to manage the situation, to manage their relatives. They understand that Alzheimer's is a disease of the brain. It is something real. It is not something that people are pretending about. And so they learn how to handle, how to manage their relative and how to manage themselves. Because Alzheimer's is a very, very complex condition. It doesn't just affect the family, the particular family member, but it affects the whole family because so many adjustments have to be made in order for persons to cope properly with the condition. So like this morning, coming to this event today, I did not want to come alone, okay? Not that I can't be here alone. I've been here by myself. I've been on other stations, radio, TV, here in the Caribbean, internationally. So it's not a matter of I can't be here by myself. But I wanted other people from the association to be here with me today. But there were a couple of issues. The first one is the COVID. Some of the members don't want to leave their home. They don't want to come to a building like this. Although we're here in our mask and so on,
We got a mask,
we have the sanitizer, we have everything we need.
Following the protocols.
We're doing everything we need to do to follow the protocols. So I would say it's safe enough here. But many of our members are seniors because remember, our founding members, not all our members are senior, but our founding members were seniors because we started with members from the Seniors Club and so on.
The challenges.
The challenges. So and I can understand that. But I think another reason, too, why it's difficult to get people to come out, it's that most of our members don't actually have relatives with dementia, and they don't have dementia themselves. But I think although the education has been ongoing for 7 years, there's still a little bit of hesitancy because they're afraid if they come on the radio, perhaps, and the neighbors hear them speaking on the radio, the neighbors are going to say, oh, yeah, I recognize that voice. That voice is John Brown's voice or, Sonia Smith's voice. I wonder which family member it is that has the dementia.
But we need to be way past that.
Absolutely.
We need to be way past that because you're offering to some extent a support group, the mechanism to help to cope, the education which is very well needed to get away from the stigma. And the most important element is the person who's been affected. They need as much support as you can through the education. And
I hope I'm wrong on that particular thing because I didn't actually discuss it. When they said they couldn't come, I didn't ask them specifically why they're not coming. Many I can understand. They have real reasons, like if you're a sole caregiver, if you're the only one looking after that person.
That was my challenge with this person who I spoke with. They were the only person there.
Exactly.
And they had to, so
sometimes it's inconvenient for them to leave the house because they're the only one there. So that's a bona fide reason, which I understand. And the other reason, is, as I said, the COVID. Some persons are older and do not want to risk any challenge, any, problem coming out here. So I can understand.
One of the questions I want to ask you, which is just what you call a stupid question.
No questions. No questions.
Has been more challenging under the strain of COVID-19, the shutdown, etc. How would that affect a person? If you speak to that.
I'm glad you asked that because that is very, very important. The COVID pandemic has been inconvenient for everybody. I mean, you can be young, you can be middle-aged, you can be older. It has caused some inconvenience for everyone. Now, with people with dementia, it's caused great inconvenience. And I tell you how it's done that. It means that the relatives now cannot just ask any odd body to keep an eye on their relative while they nip into town. You can't do that. For example, during the lockdown, remember in that first instance when we were locked down, we were not supposed to wander around town. There was a curfew on. There were days when we couldn't go out. And we were not supposed to be visiting other people's homes. So in the normal run of things where you could ask the neighbor,
somebody to go and visit, you couldn't because you had those restrictions.
Exactly, all of those restrictions. Then on top of that now, with the masking and the sanitization, we know we have to do these things and we understand why we're having to do them. But the person with dementia who needs to be protected does not understand.
Need that constant monitoring.
Absolutely. Absolute constant monitoring. You give them the mask and they take it off. You give them a mask again and they take it off. You want them to sanitize and they put their hands behind their backs because they don't quite understand what is happening. It really is a challenge. In fact, we've had a couple friends whose relatives have dementia who have passed away during this COVID period from the COVID, not in St. Kitts. Not in St. Kitts. It did not happen in St. Kitts. Thankfully, it didn't. We haven't had any of our persons with dementia pass away here because, of course, we don't have.
But it speaks to the challenges that can happen anywhere.
It could happen, and it could have happened here too, but it did not happen because the persons did not understand the need to sanitize and to keep their masks on, and so they went down with the COVID. So those are some of those kinds of issues that the person cannot walk around the community anymore. As a person with dementia, you as a relative, you can take the person for a walk in the evening and so on, and do some things outside of the house. In the normal run of things, you could even go into town with that person, staying close to them, holding their hand if necessary. But with the COVID, you can't do that. It's very difficult.
Does not appear to be going anywhere anytime soon.
I know, it's just the strangest thing, and of course, with the variants, we don't know what else is going to be happening. So we have to be very careful because as persons with dementia, they are already older, which means they are more vulnerable, and we don't want them to become infected, and we don't want ourselves to be infected around them because they have been careless when we weren't watching, and so on. So thank you for that question because that is a very.
It wasn't a stupid question.
No, not at all. No, it was a very important question.
At this point, we're going to pause forward from our sponsors, and when we return, we'll open up the lines. Hoping to get some calls and some feedback from the public and maybe information. So we'll be hearing more from Dr. Rollins on the other side of the commercial break.
TDC Automotive is paying for you. Deposit? We're paying. 3-month installments? We're paying. Pay nothing for 3 months because we are paying. Take a moment, catch your breath, and roll out with ease. Save over $20,000 off your new Toyota Hiace because TDC Automotive is paying. Get your Toyota Hiace today. TDC Automotive, #1 for a reason. Terms and conditions apply.
Cool. Energize your goals with Lucozade. Get it cool. Look under the cap. Find the code. Win it. Thousands in prizes. iPhones and TVs. Or win 30 grand US dollars for your goals. That's goals.
For a chance to win $30,000 US. Purchase any Lucozade Energy promo bottle. Look under the cap and find the code to win iPhones, TVs, and free Lucozade for $30,000 US to energize your goals. See website, social media, or press for details. Lucozade, taste the energy.
Your computer or phone is your Flow cashier. Thanks to Fast Pay on our website. It's a quick and easy way to pay your bills anytime on any device. No need to register. Simply select the bill to be paid, enter your account number or mobile number and the amount you wish to pay, plus where to email the receipt. Then make the credit card payment. It's that easy. Fast Pay for Flow bill payments at discoverflow.co.
want to say welcome back to our listeners and viewers. You're listening to 98.9 Win FM, another episode of Voices. And in the studio today with the host Socrates, we have Dr. Joan Rollins, and we're discussing all things Alzheimer's as they celebrate the 7th anniversary of the formation of that society. I want to say good morning to Amber Louis Hodge down there in Anguilla. Thanks for the correction. And for those who want to join us in the conversation, the numbers to call are 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. Then there's 718-265-6948, 508-921, 4619. And from the UK, we've got 0333 044 0065. You're free to join us on the program. In the meantime, we listen to Dr. Rollins as he speak and give us our expertise and the challenges dealing with the Alzheimer's situation in St. Kitts Nevis.
Yes. Okay. I thank you all for joining us again, and those who are staying with us, and my persons out there who are members of the association. I hope you'll all call in.
Beautiful. We need them.
Yes, I had alerted our members, all of them. They know we're here this morning. And although they weren't able to join for various reasons, bona fide reasons, they have good reasons why some of them could not be out here with us. But I asked them to call. I want to, for a minute, talk a little bit about some of the things we have achieved in the last 7 years.
Certainly.
Yes, because 7 years have gone very quickly. It was 2014, of course, if it was 7 years ago. And we got together with a group of persons from the Moravian Seniors Club and from the Ripple, and the original group of people, 15 of them, I won't call their names now unless I forget one or two persons, but you know who you are, and I'm very grateful that you all joined with us 7 years ago when we started this association. You all agreed with me that there was a need here, because first I investigated whether or not there was an Alzheimer's Association here of St. Kitts and Nevis. And when I was told, no, there isn't, but we need one, and so we forged forward and we formed the association, which has served the need. People have said so. We have had many persons speak of it and complimented us, and we've had a couple of awards given to us by different persons because of the service we provided. So we started on our mission was to provide education, support, greater awareness about the condition to caregivers, to the community, to anybody who would listen. And in so doing, our association, we would meet monthly. We would ask caregivers to come out. Persons with early stage dementia could also come out and meet with us. And each opportunity, each meeting would be like a teaching session. What do you want to know about this disease that your relative has or that you have? And we would talk about it. We would talk about what it is. Alzheimer's is a disease of the brain. It's a real disease. And for some people, it was an eye-opener, just that, because they did not realize it was a real disease. For some of the persons who came to the meetings, they would sit quietly in the corner, listen to all that we had to say. And at the end, they'd say, well, I'm really glad I came today because I thought my relative was pretending. I thought this was
important.
It is important because if you think someone's pretending about
you
something,
will ignore them.
You'll ignore them. You will ignore them, and you will get fed up with them, and you will not treat them nicely. So they thought, some people genuinely thought that their relatives were just misbehaving, that they were just difficult, that they were just selfish, that they were just wanting more attention.
And they can't be bothered.
And they can't be bothered with them because who wants to be bothered with somebody who's just demanding, wretched, and difficult? Because that is how, without an awareness and better education about the condition, this is how you might see a person with dementia. Because a person with Alzheimer's dementia is a person who you've known them before, and they seem to be able to do all the things they're supposed to do. And now, every 5 minutes, they're asking you something that they asked before, and you get tired. You get
annoyed.
You get annoyed. You say, how many times are you going to ask me this question? I've been here talking to you all morning about this, and you're still asking me the same question. But if you understand that Alzheimer's is a dementia, and it's not the only dementia, and dementia is an umbrella term which is used For
I was
the-
asked this question this morning.
what
Is it what it is?
What it
Dementia?
is.
Is it a form? It's a form of dementia.
It's a form of dementia, right? And dementia is an umbrella term given to some symptoms that occur when the brain is affected, and when the brain is affected in a particular way in specific areas of the brain. Over time, cognition is affected, and by cognition we mean
when I said with your cognitive faculties gone.
Yeah, exactly. And the song
You
says
won't
that.
recognize your own children.
Absolutely,
Running shame when you can't recall your own name.
I know. I mean, you captured that so beautifully. Every time I hear it, I feel so inspired. He got it perfectly.
So I have potential.
A great deal. You know, in fact, I think there's something else I want to talk to you about later on in terms of your potential in relation to our association. A thought just came to my mind,
Not
but
a problem.
I need to discuss it with you off air first before I would.
But what I would ask you to do for us before we wrap up today is speak to us about some of the early signs that people take for granted, the early signs that sort of creep up and become a larger problem.
Yes.
Things we should recognize earlier and take whatever remedial steps that's possible.
Yes, that's perfectly okay.
All right.
Because people often talk about the 10 warning signs.
10
And by
warning
the
signs.
10 warning signs, they speak of the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's. And, it's something we should know about. And 10 warning signs are important for a number of reasons. And before I even say what they are, I would say that they're important because early detection of dementia is very important. It's important to detect it early. It's a good thing for the individual, for their relatives, for their doctors, for the community. When Alzheimer's is detected early, that individual who now is not quite themselves anymore, they know that there is really something wrong with them. Because when people are going into a state of Alzheimer's, they know that something is going on wrong. And when they try to convey it to other people, people might not believe them. But if they go to the physician, they get a proper diagnosis, and the physician tells that person and the relative, this person has early stage Alzheimer's. Oh, not early stage, it's in the early stages of Alzheimer's.
Early onset.
Yes. Then they feel better. They know they're not crazy. Not that we have any problems. I don't even like to use the word crazy, but they're altered. They're in an altered state, so to speak, and they know that they're not making it up. They know that something really is happening on. So it's good.
They tend less to go into a depression because they recognize that they've been what would say? Okay, they've been listened to. They are being taken seriously. But when you're ignored, when at the earliest you're being ignored, you tend to go into depression, crawl back into corner, and then just disappear.
But of course, that would happen to us too, whether it's dementia or something else. If you have a problem, a real problem, if say you have a pain in your chest, shall we say, and you have a pain in your chest and it really is very bad, and you tell your relatives or whoever lives there with you, I really have a pain in my chest, I need to get to the doctor, and they ignore you, well, that is not a good thing. So whatever it is that the individual has, they're going to feel bad about the situation if they're ignored. We don't need to ignore people. All right, so the first thing people normally notice when with the person who's going into a state of Alzheimer's is memory loss. That is the very first thing that people notice. And I must quickly add that don't you all out there go and get anxious and fearful now, because not every case of memory loss will be a case of Alzheimer's. It isn't. All of us will forget things from time to time, you know. I'm always wandering up and down the house trying to find my
keys.
Not so much my keys as my mobile phone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I leave it in the kitchen, I leave it in the bathroom, I leave it somewhere else. And my grandchild says, you know, you should not do that. Hold it in your hands all the time, like my mother does, and that way she always knows where it is. I mean, how do you keep your mobile phone in your hand all the time? I don't know, but apparently young people do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but all of us, we can't find our keys, we can't find our glasses, we can't find this or that. But that is not Alzheimer's, okay? Because...
Happy to hear, because the times I don't recall where I park my vehicle. You know, I'm going, but that's not... it's important.
You know, we all forget things from time to time. We forget things. So when you know it's Alzheimer's, or it might be Alzheimer's because you need to get a proper diagnosis, is when the forgetfulness affects the normal rate of your normal routine, your functioning. It must affect normal functioning. So if you've just forgotten something, that you find it after you turn around 2 times, you find it because you remember where you've left it. That's not Alzheimer's. So it has to be a more serious kind of forgetfulness, a serious kind of memory loss that's affecting daily functioning, because all of us will forget things from time to time.
Tell me about it.
And as my friends who are older, and they don't have dementia, these persons, but they say it's just that we know so many things already that it's like,
He's going to forget something.
You're going to forget something. Right. Or it's already full up there. We're waiting to take some out of the memory bank and make some space for something else. But, joking aside, it has to be that memory loss that affects daily living. Now, another thing is that people who are going into dementia, they're not able to do anymore the things that they were able to do very easily. So you might have been a great mathematician and you can add up all kind of numbers and do calculation and balance your checkbook and everybody else's checkbook and do everybody's taxes for them. And all of a sudden, you can't do that anymore. You sit there.
The line for that would be routine activities, once performed with so much ease, now become complexities.
Oh my gosh, isn't that beautiful?
You cannot decipher.
Cannot decipher, exactly, and that's what happened. You cannot decipher things that you could do readily becomes a problem. You might have been a great cook in the kitchen. I mean, a great hostess, always inviting people over to your house because you could cook so beautifully. And now you're in the kitchen and you don't know what to do with the frying pan. You don't know what to do with the pot. You don't know how to boil an egg. You don't know how to do anything. That is the kind of thing that might be a problem.
If you could join us in this conversation, the numbers to call are 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. For further feed, we've got 718-265-6948. There's 508-921-4619, and there is 333, that's 0333-044-0065. And you're listening to Voices, broadcasting from the studios of WINNFM 98.9. My name is Socrates. We're here with Dr. John Wallins, discussing all things Alzheimer's. And of course, we are asking the public to join us in the conversation. As we speak, there is a call on the line. Caller, good morning, and welcome to Voices.
Hi, good morning. I'd like to ask a question.
Sir.
Now, 2 things. I want to find out, how can we in the society, not the patients, help prevent the onset of dementia?
We're told there's a feedback from your end. Can you turn down, is it your radio?
Yeah, so I'm saying, what can the average person do to prevent the onset of dementia? Secondly, is there any role in the younger component of the society to help in this prevention of the disease? Okay, I'm listening off the air.
Thank you for your question, and Dr. Wallins will, of course, address those for you.
Yes, thank you, caller. Thank you so much for calling in. I hope that others will be energized when they've heard the first caller and they will call in some more. I think I'll address the second issue first. If I heard right, the issues were what can younger people do to help, and the other issue was what can we as a society do to reduce our risk. I think those were the 2 questions. And I'll answer the first one first about young persons.
Yes.
And I'm really glad the caller asked that question, because this organization has been on for 7 years. We started with a group of older persons to start with. I am now 7 years older than I was when this association started, which means that I see myself as an older person now as well. So we need an influx of young
fusion. Okay.
We do. So I hope that some young persons out there will hear what we're saying now
and be minded
and
to come aboard.
Exactly, and come on board, because it's not a condition that affects only older persons as such. It affects the whole society. Because the young person might say, it's nothing to do with me, I'm young, because on an average, people don't really normally get Alzheimer's before they're in their 60s and onwards. But it might not be you, that young person, but it could be your parent, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your teacher, somebody you love. So it's not about, just older persons. It's people in the society we love, and we need to understand the condition so that when it touches our home, and not only when it touches our home, because, we should be our brother's keeper. We should be exactly. So you're not waiting until it touches your home for you to learn about the condition, so that when you have to help to manage the condition, you will know exactly what to do. I mean, we hear challenging stories of person being really mean to person with Alzheimer's. They have them locked in a room, they have them tied to a bed, and they treat them less than well. So we don't need that, and that would not happen if all of us are properly educated.
Correct.
So you help the society, and you will certainly give the best of care to your own relatives if and when, heaven forbid, that it comes to your own home. Now, before I leave the question of the younger persons, I'd say that as an Alzheimer's Association, we don't stand alone. As Alzheimer's Association of St. Kitts and Nevis, we're also members of Alzheimer's Association of the Caribbean. And we're about 12 other Caribbean countries are also members. And every other year we have a Caribbean conference. And the conference, one of these days, St. Kitts will have to have the conference. And unless we get an influx of new members, including younger members, I don't know how we will do that conference. Anyway, the most recent conference was held in Barbados this year. It was a beautiful conference. It was on Zoom, so we all Zoomed in. There were more than 90 people online, and it was excellent. And it went over 2 days, and we can do that too here in St. Kitts. I'm sure we could have such a conference when our time comes, which will probably be soon. But coming out of the conference, two things that I really would like us as an association here in St. Kitts to look at almost immediately. The first thing is, we've been talking about it, get more young people on board,
Yes.
get a youth arm even, a youth arm of the Alzheimer's Association. That's one thing they did in Barbados. And another thing also to get the police involved. I don't know if we have another caller online yet? No, okay, so to get the police involved. So I want to spend a minute talking about getting the police on board before I go to the other question about how we can reduce our risk. The business about getting the police on board is very important because sometimes people with Alzheimer's dementia get in trouble with the community. They wander away, and because nobody knew for sure what was their situation, they cannot be found easily because nobody knows exactly where they've gone. So if the police becomes part of our association, so to speak, or a friend or an ally to our association, they will begin to have a sense of who are the people in the community who might have Alzheimer's and begin to know them in a way.
I see your point.
Yes, it's good that the police should know this. And also, we've had situations where people with dementia have gone into a shop, say, picked up an item and walked out the shop with it and then be arrested for shoplifting. But that person wasn't really shoplifting. That person has dementia. And that person had forgotten what the routine is. You go to the shop, you pick up an item, you take it to the cashier, and you pay for it. But when you have dementia, some of these processes are lost in your memory situation. So then if the police is aware of this, really very well aware of this, the police will be able to help when something like that happens. Another way the police can help too is sometimes people like to try to defraud persons with dementia.
Yes.
So the police needs to be on board so that they can help persons to protect themselves against being defrauded.
This is called for an all community involvement, all of community, because in various communities, somebody might know, but if the police is aware. And then I was thinking about the aspect of when you mentioned the police, sometimes the police is called to a situation and the person they've been called for has the Alzheimer dementia and they don't know. Exactly. And the approach, which makes all the difference in the world, has to be informed where this person is suffering from and they need to be handled in a particular manner. So there's where the police, I think, one of the points that the police need to be aware of.
Yes, excellent. That's exactly it. And there's one other issue that sometimes can arise to do with people with dementia where the police might be called It might be the business of sexual abuse or sexual interference, okay? And sometimes it is the Alzheimer's person who has done something inappropriate. Because earlier on we were talking about the early signs, and one early sign is impaired judgment.
Yes.
Impaired judgment is one of the early signs of dementia. That is, a person might behave in a way they would never have behaved
Normally.
before, and because of their judgment is not impaired. And they sometimes give their money away because their judgment is impaired, or they invite strangers into the house who then rob them. And another time is sometimes they might forget who their wife is or who their spouse or partner is, and they might think their spouse or partner is somebody else, and might
if they
approach
confuse
them.
their children, it's quite understandable. They
That-
confuse their spouse with someone else.
Exactly. Like the gentleman who would say to his wife, "Why are you keeping me here a prisoner? Where's my beautiful young wife? And you're holding me here." But his beautiful young wife was his now older wife,
Yes.
who was now there. But he didn't know that, because in his mind, he thought this older person was keeping him a hostage while he really wanted to be out with his young and beautiful
Understood.
wife.
It's really, really devastating.
It's very, very, so many important issues that education and awareness is really what makes a difference.
Okay. I think a part of the question the young man posed, the caller posed, was what can you do
Yes.
to prevent?
Yes. Okay. And that's a very important question, and I thank the caller for that. Now, Alzheimer's is not a new disease. It's been around for quite a while. It was described by Aloy Alzheimer's, and the disease is named for him about 100 years ago. So it's been around for a long time, although people were not talking about it. He had actually described it as different from other dementia a long time ago, but it's only in the last 40 or so years that people are talking about Alzheimer's and trying to treat it. And a lot of research has been done. Millions and millions of dollars have been spent on the research to try to find a medication that would be perfect for the treatment of Alzheimer's. And they found three or so bits of medication that people have used over time. But what they find is that it helps for a while and doesn't help anymore. So there's no medicine until I'll talk about one recent one. So for the last 30 years, there have been about 3 or 4 things that they have used. It helps the restlessness, it helps the confusion, it helps some of the signs and symptoms, but it does not work for a long time. And sometimes these medications have very serious side effects. Now, recently, you all might have heard about it. There was a big announcement. Something's good been found for Alzheimer's, and it's a medication called aducanumab. It's a very kind of strange name. When they market it, they're going to call it Aduhelm.
Aduhelm?
Aduhelm, Aduhelm, and it's made by Biogen, which is one of the big pharmaceutical companies. And there was a lot of hype about it, but for a while, the FDA would not approve it. Well, earlier this year, a couple of months ago, the FDA approved it, but with some restrictions. And it's not a magic bullet. It's not, it's not going to solve the problem. One, it's very expensive. It will work out to like $56,000 a year per person.
Treatment.
That's
56 US a year. If you convert that, we're talking about
it's a lot of money. It's not working at all. 56,000 is just
it's a non-starter.
It's a non-starter, and it will have to be given intravenously. So, and it can only be used in the earliest stage. All right, so we're talking about what can be done, what can we do as a society to help ourselves. So if there's no magic bullet, there's no magic pill, we have to begin to look at what can we do to reduce our risk. Unfortunately, the research which is ongoing has shown that if we change our lifestyle, if we do certain things in terms of our lifestyle, we can reduce our risk for dementia by about 50%.
Anything related to diet?
Yes, a lot of it's related to diet. So if we could adjust our diet so that we reduce our risk for our high blood pressure, reduce our risk for diabetes, if we get adequate rest and exercise, just those 4 things alone could reduce our risk for dementia by about 50%. No, better than that, the research which was published last year, 2020, in the Lancet, which is a major British medical journal, they presented this research which showed conclusively, because they studied 20,000 people, showed that it's a big enough sample, a big sample, that there are 12 modifiable risk factors which would reduce our risk for dementia. And they outlined those 12 risk factors. So if we could work on those 12 risk factors, and I have them here, I'll have to look them up because I can't remember them all at one time. Yeah. These risk factors are things that we all could do something about. And if we do something about these risk factors, we could seriously reduce our risk for dementia. The first one is that we reduce our risk for high blood pressure. If we make sure we don't become obese, if we can manage to not have traumatic brain injury, if we can reduce our alcohol consumption, if we can reduce our smoking, or if we don't smoke at all, if we can not become depressed, if we can do a lot of physical activity, if we do not become social isolated, and if we fix our hearing, and if we keep out of air pollution. No, I think that might have been 12.
I think the last time we spoke, we're going to pause forward shortly, but I think the last time we spoke, we made a connection between the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd like to address that. We have one more commercial break before we go to the midday newscast, and then we'll let you flow into that connection between the hearing and Alzheimer's. So, lady engineer, take us to a commercial break, please.
Your computer or phone is your Flow cashier. Thanks to Fast Pay on our website. It's a quick and easy way to pay your bills anytime on any device. No need to register. Simply select the bill to be paid, enter your account number or mobile number and the amount you wish to pay, plus where to email the receipt. Then make the credit card payment. It's that easy. Fast Pay for Flow bill payments at discoverflow.co.
Know that you've captured those special moments. Turn them into lasting memories at the TDC Business Center. Purchase your photo print bundle and get a chance to win a Canon MG3010 printer. Click and print. Visit TDC Business Center today.
When they start them there, we are top man, we take charge. Have no reaching now, we are shell down hard. Blast like a star in summer gallopar. Overdo it, we take it too far. Take charge, take charge. We are hot gal, we set the trend. Magnum we drink for the top man them. Wine with the style, no stop from spin. Hot blend, back bend, and take charge, take charge. Magnum tonic wine, the real star them. Take charge, take charge. Must be 18 or older, drink responsibly.
Viewers and listeners, welcome back to the program Voices. Today we are in the studios with Dr. June Wallings discussing all things Alzheimer's. And if you just joined us, we had one caller who asked a question as to what can one do to prevent the early onset. Are there any, I think there was a question as, are there any structures in society to deal with persons afflicted? But you were dealing with the...
I wanted to deal with the business of the risk. What can we do to reduce our own risk? And I was going to deal with the air, the air problem, the peripheral hearing loss. Okay.
The mic is yours.
Yes. Okay. Fine. And this is important. I'm glad Socrates reminded me of this because last time I was here, we started that discussion.
A year ago.
I know. Where does the time go? Where does the time go? You know, so we were talking about these 12 modifiable risk factors. That is something we can do about. And one of them was to fix our hearing issue. So if we have peripheral hearing loss, that is we're not hearing properly, and it's not to do with some bad thing gone wrong with our brain or something like that. It's just what we might call everyday kind of hearing loss, which a lot of older persons might begin to have. Now, that hearing loss is something that can be fixed with a hearing aid, peripheral hearing loss. And what surprised everybody, not only myself and persons who are not in that kind of research, it actually surprised these top-level researchers themselves that people with hearing loss, that's not fixed by them wearing a hearing aid, that actually leads to atrophy of the brain, and then that leads to their dementia. And what they found is if they fix the hearing loss, then the problem is reversed. So people then who had hearing loss and were beginning to shift a little bit in their cognition, if they got their hearing aid and they wore it all the time, they were restored, and their risk for dementia became the same as everybody else's risk. So that was amazing. And I think for us here in the Caribbean, this is a good thing, because it's very costly to treat a person with dementia. Dementia is not a cheap condition to treat. It involves caregivers, it involves medication, it involves all kinds of things. Takes up time, and time is money. So if we have persons in our society whose hearing is impaired, they are at risk. They're at serious risk for dementia and serious risk for that their brain will get smaller, the atrophy of the brain. So what we need to do is we need to ensure that persons who are just beginning to have their hearing loss, that they get fitted with a hearing aid. Mm-hmm. And we need to encourage the powers that be, the health ministry, the healthcare services, the government, so to speak, to ensure that persons have hearing aids. And if they cannot pay for it themselves, that somebody should help them pay for it. Because if they don't get their hearing aid, they will end up with dementia, and they're going to be a bigger burden.
A bigger burden, because hearing is one of the six senses, right? So
Yeah.
you lose that, and I can see the connection now.
Your life is not the same when you cannot hear properly. And if you get your hearing aid, you're restored to society, because people, when they cannot hear properly, after a while become socially isolated.
That is correct.
One, because when people are speaking to them, they're not understanding what people are saying to them, and they cannot respond appropriately, which means that in the end they prefer to stay at home or sit in a corner and don't join in. And we know that social isolation is also in itself one of the risk factors for dementia. It's one of the 12 risk factors that people had identified. So, the onus is on us to put a little pressure on the powers that be to ensure that people...
Educate them.
We
It's one of the many things that's overlooked until it's brought to the fore. So I would suspect, would have a wonderful job over the past 7 years, first in the formation of the society, the organization, and keeping it down front and center. As you said, this is the seventh year since the formation, and not a lot of people know about it, but you have been out there, second time on the show, I thought was 6 months ago, whole year's passed, beating the drums. So you find it's to get the relevant person to see this as something not essential, I'm looking for the word, of a priority.
Yes.
Of a priority when you're looking at the overall welfare of a person.
Yes. It is a priority. And when you think what it can prevent from happening, and if we can do anything to reduce someone's risk for dementia, it is well worth doing, because as I said in the end, as I said, it's costly. It's a costly condition. There are all kinds of costs that you don't even think about. We don't even think about. Sometimes when there's a person with dementia, the caregiver has to give up their job. So if
it's a 24/7.
It's a 24/7 job.
Once a month, twice a baby.
As you said in the song, you covered all the aspects. So some people, when they become caregivers, they had a job out there themselves before. They were the breadwinner, perhaps. And they now have to give their job up. So income is lost.
It's a tough choice if you're the breadwinner and you have to give up a job to deal with somebody going to get neglected.
Yes. It's very difficult. And my heart goes out to the caregivers who are doing the care 24/7, because that is the situation for some people. I was talking to a lady the other day, and whenever she has to leave the house, her husband has to take a couple hours off work. I mean, this is not the ideal. It is good, and it's beautiful that he is helpful.
With that support, yes.
He gives. It's really good. He supports her, but it's not the ideal. It's not the ideal. because his job might be at risk at some point. The boss might say, "What's this?" Every now and then you have to take time off if the boss is not sympathetic. But that happens. But caregiving is a difficult job, and sometimes it impacts on the health of the caregiver. And sometimes the caregiver becomes so burdened that they become ill because they don't have time for their own health care.
Is this a condition that an insurance policy would cover?
Well, that is a good question, and I really don't have a good answer. I don't have a good answer. It depends. I don't think the average insurance.
Because when we talk about preconditions, when you go to fill out a policy, they address certain non-communicable like diabetes maybe and so on and so on. But this is more detrimental. Would any insurance company, because of the cost factor you mentioned,
and it's long term.
It's long term.
It's chronic. It's one of the chronic conditions. But that was a good question, and I must investigate it. I have to speak to my insurance people and see, how this works for dementia.
That would run from it, but I think it needs to be addressed. Might be covered because you mentioned the treatment of that drug you mentioned.
Yes, the expensive drug. Had you help? $56,000 US dollars per year per person. Yes. And it would only help those in the earliest stage of the disease.
So then, if there are known practices to help prevent, you mentioned it's mainly dietary, but your lifestyle changes. This needs to be known because we're young, we're happy, and we're having a party now. We don't really care. But the reality of the thing, if it's something preventable by diet, lifestyle change, etc., that education need to be up there.
Yes.
The Ministry of Health, whatever, they have to come on board and assist. We are almost by the clock up there. I have to check it again. Okay. Yes. We're hoping to get more calls. I hope that your friends...
I'm surprised they haven't called in. One or two of them should have called in. I'm sure they're listening, but they're listening, but they're not calling in. But, to go back to this lifestyle thing. So we need to reduce our risk for high blood pressure.
Yes.
And all of us can work on that. We need to adjust our diet. We need to ensure that there's not nearly as much salt in it as we like to put in our diet. Just a simple business of cutting out some of that salt will reduce our risk for high blood pressure. We also need to look at our portion size and put less on our plate, and that way we will not become obese. We need to cut out some of the fat and some of the carbohydrate, just too much fat in there. And if we could just that. So if we think we're overweight and we could lose 10 or 15 pounds, if we're not too overweight, we might need to lose more than that if we're really very big, then those two things alone would put us on the proper path and reduce our risk for dementia. And if we're drinking a lot alcohol, we really need to cut back on that as well.
We get this sort of generalized information when it comes to diabetes, etc., but not to Alzheimer's. We'll take this call befor we get to news break. Caller, welcome to the program. You're live on Voices.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
We're fine. Yourself?
Yes, I just listened to Dr. Wallins when she mentioned that people who are deaf, that they can... Is that right?
Yes, I was saying that if someone, who has peripheral hearing loss, if they've had it for many years, maybe it cannot be reversed at that point. But if they're just beginning to not be able to, because usually peripheral hearing loss, it's gradual. It just gets worse over time. So if when they find out that they're beginning to not hear properly, if they address that issue and get their hearing aid, then the brain will not begin to atrophy based on that on this particular condition of a hearing loss. Because if you leave your hearing loss, your peripheral hearing loss, untreated, then the brain will begin to get smaller. And when the brain begins to get smaller, you will show this the signs and symptoms of dementia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I just know somebody, and I believe that person is in the early stage of dementia, but to tell me about convincing him he needs to go and do something.
And it's a difficult one, the business of hearing loss. people don't like to admit that they're not hearing properly. You will tell them that they're not hearing, and they'll ask you why you're whispering. You're not whispering, you're shouting so much that your business might be heard by the neighbors. You don't want the neighbors to hear your business.
What is happening?
Well, there you are. Now, there's a case of hearing loss. That person is beginning to lose their hearing. And you know what? Just tell them what we're talking about here today. I think if anybody knows that what the situation that they're in could lead them to Alzheimer's, they would act upon it.
Yes.
Because this is what the researchers have found, that, this was such a stunning piece of finding. They did not expect to find that. That was one of the two really surprising things that they found. They found that air pollution would also increase our risk for dementia. So those were two that were really, really outliers. We did not expect to see that. Okay? So I would recommend that you speak to your person that you know of and convince them that they could reduce their risk of getting dementia in times to come if they would just go get their hearing aid.
Yes, because we're just trying to tell the person that they need to go and get a test of their hearing.
Well, you keep up the good work there, right? And share this information with other people as well, because, some of the people who now have dementia, they probably would never have had dementia if their hearing loss had been treated. Okay?
Thank you very much.
I want to thank that caller for sharing with us. Thank you very much for your contribution. I think at this point we're going to pause for the midday newscast, and hopefully we can get Dr. Joan Wallins to stick around after and continue, because the time flies. You mentioned the whole year gone, and there's so much that you're sharing. We'd like to continue if possible. But we pause now for the midday newscast, and we'll be back on the other side.
Staying healthy has taken on a whole new meaning these days. So we ask, why do you put your health first?
As a business professional, I need to make the most out of my work days.
I'm a teacher, and I want to be there for my students.
In sports, I have to be in top form for my team.
Motherhood, I just got to keep up with my kids.
Because my patients rely on me to be at my best.
Staying healthy is important for many of us, and Halib Orange makes it easy. Just one 1,000 milligram tablet of vitamin C gives your immune system a flavorful boost, leaving you protected and feeling good for the day ahead. Halib Orange Vitamin C. Just pop the cap, drop it in water, let it fizz, and enjoy. Part of the Halib Orange family.
Your computer or phone is your flow cashier. Thanks to Fast Pay on our website, it's a quick and easy way to pay your bills anytime on any device. No need to register. Simply select the bill to be paid, enter your account number or mobile number and the amount you wish to pay, plus where to email the receipt. Then make the credit card payment. It's that easy. Fast Pay for flow bill payments at discoverflow.co.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Cariboury.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Bastia in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
With the WIN headline news, I am Devon Cornelius. Our top stories: escaped prisoners back in custody at Her Majesty's prison, and across the region, Chastity says they are detractors responding to accusations. Now, the details. Members of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force and officers of Her Majesty's prison in Bastia St. Kitts said they worked swiftly to apprehend prisoners who had escaped their cells on Saturday, July 24th, 2021. A press release issued by the prison Sunday night, July 25, confirmed the capture of 3 prisoners and indicated that they are back in custody and are on remand at Her Majesty's prison, where they are awaiting trial. Lashon Hendrickson, 24 years old, of Ponds Pasture, was captured by police officers in the vicinity of Hart Street shortly after escaping. 19-year-old Jonathan Rollins of Newtown and 26-year-old Estevan Lawrence of St. Peter's were both captured by prison officers on the grounds of the former Bastia High School. The matter will be investigated by the police and the relevant charges will be laid. While several measures have been implemented to improve security at the prison, which was constructed in 1840, its management team will conduct an assessment to determine what additional steps can be taken to prevent further occurrences, the press release said. In regional news,
the COVID-19 death toll in Trinidad and Tobago now stands at 1,032, as 6 more deaths were recorded in the past 24 hours. The Ministry of Health, in its clinical update on Saturday, also reported 300 new positive cases of the virus. The ministry said the new positive cases were from samples taken during the period July 20th to 23rd. The number of total active positive cases is 5,893. As government continues with its mass vaccination drive, a total of 326,343 people have received the first dose of the vaccine. 181,299 people are fully vaccinated. There's no need to make an appointment at the Wallerfield Raceway mass vaccination site. This from CEO of the North Central Regional Health Authority, Davlin Thomas. He made the disclosure during the Ministry of Health's media conference today, Saturday, while providing an update on COVID-19 vaccination sites.
It announced this morning that no appointments are necessary anymore for access to the Wallerfield site. So you can go down to Wallerfield and have your vaccinations in your car, and we'll take care of you from there.
Mr. Thomas also highlighted the NCRHA's collaboration with the National Library and Information Systems Authority, NALIS, for data entry and appointments.
So they will now facilitate our appointments process for second doses, and they have already been doing so. And certainly we'd like to thank the chairman of NALIS and the executive director and the deputy executive director.
Only 10% of the prison population has agreed to be vaccinated. This from Minister of Health Terence Dialsingh. During the Ministry of Health's virtual media conference today, Saturday, the minister said this group is among the groups targeted for vaccination. He was concerned about this small percentage, as he said persons living in close contact spread the virus faster.
My colleague, Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, had asked for a one-to-one vaccine ratio between vaccines allocated and prison population. At that time, he would have indicated there were 3,750 prisoners, but sadly, we made the vaccines available, but only 10% have agreed to be vaccinated.
The minister said the vaccine is only useful when it is administered. He said teachers, farmers and fisherfolk, energy workers, the university population, and people living with NCDs are some of the other groups being targeted by the ministry.
Right now, vaccines are voluntary but highly recommended. And I think the pending advent of the Delta variant should add an additional spur, an additional encouragement that if we vaccinate as many people as possible in the shortest possible space of time, we can get in front of this Delta variant. Our objective as a country now, with voluntary, highly recommended vaccinations, is to get in front of the Delta variant.
St. Lucia's Prime Minister Alan Chastany says he will not be distracted by the attacks on him and his administration by former United Workers' Party UWP ministers Stephenson King, Richard Frederick, Rufus Biscay, and Dr. Yabaldus Raymond. Prime Minister Chastany and his cabinet continue to be accused of blatant victimization, abuse of public office, corruption, disrespect, and abusing the Constitution. They are detractors, Chastany expressed to Loop News. The United Workers' Party is the only one with a plan. Not only do we have a plan, which is a promise, but it is based on what we have already delivered, Chastany said. Joining the former disgruntled UWP ministers is the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party, SLP. They are noisy, they are beating pans, they have no plans, and we are not going to get involved in that because we are more concerned about people. People want to know there is a plan, the Prime Minister lamented. Chastany touted some of his administration's achievements, such as reducing unemployment on the island, increased government revenues, undertaking aggressive programs of capital expenditure, and stabilizing the economy. Chastany also touted St. Lucia's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and revitalizing the island's tourism sector, one of the hardest hit sectors since the pandemic. Between January and June, this country had more tourist arrivals than the whole of the OECS put together, and St. Lucia is on the fastest pace to recovery. Yet, amid all the challenges presented to us, this government was able to meet all of its obligations and never miss a payroll, Chastity said. We are confident that the people of St. Lucia don't want a change right now and are satisfied with the work we've done, and we are looking forward to finishing the job that we started. Chastity has expressed confidence that his ruling United Workers' Party will emerge victorious at today's poll based on his administration's performance in office. I do believe we are going to get more than 9 seats, and there are strong signs that the UWP may well better its performance in 2016, Chastity told Timothy Peleon during Real FM's News Spin. With a voter turnout of 53.45% in the general election of 2016, the United Workers' Party defeated the St. Lucia Labour Party 11-6 to form the government.
Another developing story: 4 men were shot and killed in Riverton City, St. Andrew, during an alleged shootout with the police. The incident happened close to the Sandy Gully Bridge. Police commander for the St. Andrew South Police Division, Kirk Ricketts, gave TVJ News an account of what happened.
The police saw 2 vehicles exiting the community and attempted to intercept these 2 vehicles. The men immediately exited the vehicles and opened fire at the police. The police took evasive actions, returned fire, and as I indicated earlier, at the end of the incident, we had 3 persons. We found 3 persons suffering from gunshot wounds.
Now, the police say they are yet to identify the dead men. The police commander says the gangs have been causing mayhem in the community for some time now.
We are still trying to identify them, so we'll be able to speak on that a bit later. But as we speak, we know that the Riverton space is inundated with gangs and gang members, and as such, we have ensured to have a round-the-clock presence in the space as it relates to police officers. And from time to time, we do come into contact with these criminal suspects, and today is just one of those days. I am really, while it's unfortunate that we had a situation where we had persons losing their lives, I'm really heartened that none of my police officers would have been injured today.
Now, questions have been raised about seeming attempts by the PNP President Mark Golding to surround himself with loyalists, this despite stressing the need for unity. Javon Keys has more.
The cause of the resignation of 4 senior executives of the People's National Party PNP is an alleged breakdown in an agreement for a balanced slate of candidates for the vice presidency race that closed on Friday, July 16. The candidates were supposed to be split equally down the Rise United and one PNP group in the party. But where the negotiations fell apart is unclear. Of concern is that the party's leader, Mark Golding, is reportedly surrounding himself with PNP members who supported his presidential campaign. This was echoed by Philip Polwell in a recent video.
We have decided to step back and to allow the party leader to have his team. We're not going to fight.
One which General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell denies.
The party has deliberately stayed out of whatever negotiations were taking place for the post of vice presidents. If you can recall, last year, he had endorsed me as General Secretary and Comrade Angela Brown-Burke as chairman. They said that that was inappropriate. So learning from that experience, the leader stayed away from whatever negotiations were taking place in regards to the vice presidents. And so any allegation that is made that the leader is not pushing unity is not true.
But political analyst Dickie Crawford says he's not surprised by the allegations that Mark Golding is surrounding himself with loyalists. However, he says it can be dangerous.
Who don't probably get picked on that side become angry or realize that they are not in his favor. And therefore, they're stretching out and saying, well, you know what? I'm not running in this situation.
All four vice presidential candidates are seemingly allies of Golding, from former Member of Parliament of Western Hanover Ian Hales, who was a supporter of Peter Bunting during the 2019 presidential contest, to Richard Azan. During his nomination last week, Norman Scott sported a Go with Golding campaign hat. We pressed him about it.
I didn't even realize that I was wearing a Golding hat. That's a fact. I have about 4 hats in the vehicle, and I just took up one. No.
And Councillor Eugene Kelly from Southwest St. Andrew.
I don't take offense to the question being asked, because Portia gave her life for the PNP, struggled, was maligned, hurt for the PNP, and they dared to ask who tell her how she thinks she can lead PNP. So if they ask that of her, who am I? Who am I for them to question?
General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell says there is a political emergency in the People's National Party, but he says it's fixable. In the meantime, the country looks on at the turmoil in the 83-year-old PNP party.
We now bring you these international reports.
Despite official requests for people in Japan to watch the Olympics at home, many are taking any chance they can to witness some action. Here, a cycling race that went outside official venues.
They're not allowing fans, but this road race is happening where we can watch it outdoors. I thought this might be the last chance in my life to see the Olympics in Tokyo.
Since I never got to see the 1964 Tokyo Olympics, I thought, well, this time I definitely have to see it, but it's too bad that spectators are banned.
There's been a rush of feel-good stories involving Japanese athletes, including a gold for 13-year-old skateboarder Momiji Nishiya. And that's helping to lift online support for the Games.
The day before yesterday was the best day in the history of digital platforms of the Olympics. The day after was 20% more, and the day after was 20% more, higher than what we had expected. So clearly, the interest in the Games is booming.
There were 16 new Games-related COVID-19 cases on Monday, but organisers insist the Athletes' Village is the most tested community in the world. The conflict in sentiments felt by many Japanese people was reflected in a survey taken at the start of the Games. Nearly 90% were worried that the Olympics would cause a surge in infections, but more than 70% said they were looking forward to watching it. This is a city with a rich sporting culture, but it's also one that's still under a state of emergency due to COVID-19.
People were really geared up and pumped up, actually, to welcome people from all over the world. But unfortunately, considering the very conservative nature of Japanese, we're the most risk-avoidant type of people and organization in the world. And for that reason, having another big wave of COVID-19 coming through, especially this variant type, it's also understandable that people are also backing off at the same time.
Fans who should have been queuing up to watch sport are left to make what memories they can of an Olympics that remain tantalisingly out of reach. Andy Richardson, Al Jazeera, Tokyo.
Parliament in Malaysia is reconvening after 7 months. An emergency declaration in January gave the government wide-ranging powers, including suspending Parliament. On Monday, politicians questioned not just the need for an emergency declaration, but also the government's coronavirus response.
There's been double standards in following the procedures that the government itself has laid out for COVID-19. There's also been a widening trust deficit, which is actually difficult to manage because the government faced this when it came into government, but it's actually widened in the course of the long extended COVID-19 management.
Much of the country is still under a lockdown imposed last month. It has caused great hardship for many. Yet, coronavirus cases keep climbing.
Malaysia has now recorded more than 1 million COVID-19 infections since the start of the pandemic. The number of active cases is at record levels, putting the healthcare system under severe strain.
Public healthcare practitioners say Malaysia lost an opportunity to beef up healthcare resources when it experienced a lull in new infections last year.
There should be a lot of focus on expansion, hospital capacity, one thing. Second thing is obviously public health measures like contact tracing, testing. These are things that could have helped to curb subsequent peaks to be a little bit lower.
The government is now also having to deal with contract doctors who are unhappy with their terms of employment. Across the country, thousands of doctors staged a walkout on Monday, demanding permanent postings and better pay. Florence Louis, Al Jazeera, Kuala Lumpur.
It's been less than 3 months since Mohammed Nazari's daughter, Rayhana, died. She was 16 and an identical triplet with her sisters in yellow. Rayhana wanted to be a doctor, but she was killed in an attack at her school in May.
I was the first one to get to the bombing. It was really horrible. It's always on my mind. When I got there, it was chaos. There were screams, cries, and mourning. There were fathers picking up their daughters, brothers picking up their sisters.
The attack on Sayed al-Shuhada High School was cited as the worst incident in a new UN report, tallying civilian casualties in the first 6 months of this year. No group has claimed responsibility for it, but Rayhana's sister has a message for her killers.
Don't kill your brothers, your sisters, because you're also from this country.
The bombing here in May killed 85 mostly young schoolgirls and injured about 150. They are among 783 civilians killed in Afghanistan in just May and June. It is the highest number for those months since the UN started keeping records 12 years ago.
The UN also says a record number of women and children were killed or injured in Afghanistan in the first 6 months of this year. In Dashti Bachi, the victims' names have been painted in murals on the school's perimeter where they died.
They kill the students, those who are trying to learn knowledge, they kill them. But my message in this part is this, that we students that just have one pen in our hand and no gun, no another things in our hand to fight with them.
I asked her in the end, do you think the pen will be stronger than the gun?
Of course. I believe in this.
The UN says Afghanistan is on course to witness its highest number of civilian casualties in a single year.
We need the parties to step back and away from the battlefield, because otherwise we do think, based on the data and the figures and the record levels that we've seen of the first 6 months of this year, that these will just keep increasing.
The Nazari family empathise with the thousands of Afghans who have also buried a loved one this year, but they cannot empathise with the perpetrators.
No, I cannot forgive them. My wife cannot. Rayhana's sisters cannot forgive. It's something unforgivable.
You were listening to the WINNFM 98.9 newscast. Let's recap our top stories. Locally, escaped prisoners back in custody at Her Majesty's prison, and across the region, Chastanet says they are detractors responding to accusations. I'm Devon Cornelius. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs. And make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
The South 98.9 FM.
Run to Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store now and get a chance to win free groceries for 1 year. By popular demand, Cash Back is back, but this time Cash Back is back with more quality appliances, more great prices and fantastic deals, more of Hosford's fabulous FlexPay payment plan, and more free groceries. A whole year of free groceries. Come to Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store today and get absolutely free groceries with every higher purchase and a chance to win free groceries for 1 year. Great deals on furniture and appliances. Get cash back for free groceries with FlexPay higher purchase and a chance to win free groceries for 1 year with every $500 spent. All great reasons to shop at Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store this coupon season. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
So good afternoon as we welcome back our listeners and viewers back to today's episode of Voices. My name is Socrates, host of today's program, and we have in the studio with us Dr. Joan Rawlings, and we'll be discussing most things Alzheimer's as they observe the 7th anniversary since the formation of that organization. And we had a few callers this morning that raised certain questions about how do you deal with the onset, how do you prevent what you do, the instructions in society to deal with it. We had a caller who spoke about a person who was affected by
hearing loss, and we discuss how that can affect and impact a person who becomes like a sufferer. I don't know who suffer, but a person who's affected by, afflicted by Alzheimer's. And there are so many different topics and things that feed into this issue. So I'm going to let the good doctor speak to it as best she can, share as much information as you can. We also invite the public to call in and weigh in on this discussion. It's very important. The numbers to call are 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. Then there's 718-265-6948, 508-921-4619. And from the UK, Chris Collins, what are you doing up there? We got 033-044-0065. Dr. Collins, the microphone is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Socrates. And before I even go further, as we wind down, I want to thank you again for being here with us, with me today, and allowing me to come on your program to share this.
It's called Voice. It's not about me. It's about you who make this program work.
Yes. Well, it's good to be here. And, you know, and perhaps if I hadn't heard that you had done this song, this beautiful song, Precious Memories, I would not have wanted to come on Voices to talk about anything, you know. So it's good to be here, and I wanted to say thanks to the station as well. And I also want to, before I answer that question or continue what I was doing, I want to say thanks to the Girl Guides Association, because before COVID times, we used to meet in their building. We would meet in their building at Taylor's Range, yes. That was a regular meeting place for our association. And we hope that, you know, when things get sorted out a little bit more than they are right now, we'll be able to meet again there. That was our regular meeting spot. We'd meet there the third Monday of each month and have our meetings there from 10 to 12 in the morning. So that's so that people out there can hear that, put it in their diary, and as soon as things have settled down and we can all congregate in whatever numbers we want to congregate, then we will meet again at the Girl Guides building, and we thank the Girl Guides Association for that. Yes? So to go back to what we were talking about Alzheimer's as a disease of the brain. It's a very real condition, and you know, something that we now know from the research that we can reduce our risk for dementia, and that's what we were talking about. We had talked about hearing impairment being a risk factor, and if we could fix our hearing by wearing our hearing aid, we would reduce our risk for dementia. And another thing I wanted to mention was that the research, which was published in The Lancet, they spoke about air pollution as a risk factor for dementia. So it is something we can do something about.
Really?
Yes, the air pollution. Well, I suppose we can't solve all the world's problems.
Jeff Bezos said last week, Wednesday, at his launch, that it's no chance to take those mega industries up in space. So it's not enough to you polluted Earth. You want to take it up there and keep Earth pristine, clean up, you may say first. So let me hear you say.
It's a serious problem. This air pollution is serious. And it's serious enough to be affecting our health. It affects our brain, and it impairs our cognition. And we might not be able to solve the whole world's problems, but in our own little communities, maybe things we could do. We can make sure our cars are working properly so that when we drive around, we're not emitting those kinds of fumes.
I think a $5,000 surcharge out there was for emission, you know.
Of the vehicles.
Yes. You have to pay that, etc., etc.
Right. So we can.
But make the linkage for me between air pollution and Alzheimer's.
Yes, in that the fumes, the pollution that's in the air from construction, from vehicles, and from people burning things that they're not supposed to burn. And it's not every kind of pollution, it's not every kind of air pollution that affects the brain. It's some kinds, not all kinds. But how it does it goes to we inhale it, and it causes inflammation in our brain. And it's the inflammation that then leads to the problems of of cognition.
So pollutants.
Yes, polluting to our brain. Inflammation generally in the body is not good because, they say that our cholesterol problems largely come about from inflammation in our body. Our veins become clogged up and all of that. So, we're talking about things that we ourselves can do to reduce our risk for dementia because there's no magic bullet out there. So there's no magic pill, there's no magic bullet. The research is still ongoing, but there's something we can do. So if we can reduce the air pollution, and if we can fix our hearing impairment, if we can reduce our risk for hypertension, reduce our risk for obesity, it's best that we don't smoke at all. And if we become depressed, if we can fix our depression, and if we can get enough exercise to keep us healthy, and if we can stay socially interactive, because as human beings, we are interactive people. And if we become socially isolated, then we become depressed, and that increases our risk for dementia. So there are things that we can do. There are really things we can do. There was one question that Socrates asked me off camera, off voice, so to speak, off voice. And it was to do with how we approach the health services to help us in our Alzheimer's work. And I'd like to say that at present we work fairly closely with the social development ministry, community development and social services, right? So they know we're there. They know that we work with caregivers. They know we provide some amount of informal information to caregivers. We would like to work more closely with the Ministry of Health. That's really a ministry that we need to work more closely with. I have approached the Ministry of Health with regard to the need to develop a national dementia plan,
Okay.
Because as I mentioned earlier, we don't work alone as the Alzheimer's Association of St. Kitts and Nevis, but we also work with the Alzheimer's Association of the Caribbean, and we're also members of Alzheimer's Disease International, which is the international body for all Alzheimer's Association worldwide. And
so you need a presence from St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
Operating at that level.
That level, we do. And so we are members of Alzheimer's Disease International. We have signed on to the business of the need to agreeing to the need to develop a national dementia plan. There are
you sign on locally or with the
with the international. We signed on with the international that we will in the future develop a plan. But we cannot develop a plan by ourselves alone.
No.
We need the Ministry of Health has to be the lead on it, with us tagging on with them to develop this plan.
The reception so far?
I have spoken to personnel within the hierarchy of the Ministry of Health, and I've gotten, I like to say, positive feedback in a way. But what is happening right now, the COVID takes up all the oxygen, so to speak, takes up all the space all the time, and I can understand that. So when the COVID is not what it is right now, when people can breathe without having to think about COVID and can lend their expertise and ideas to other things, then I have a promise that
Okay, we're going to break for a call because we need to engage with them. Caller, thank you for joining us. You're live on Voices.
Hey, good day. How is everybody?
Super.
Thanks.
You all are doing well?
Yes, Dr. Rollins is in the glow. She's speaking about a previous topic, and I'm just enjoying the company. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I heard a bit of it this morning, but I didn't hear everything up to midday. But I don't want to sidetrack her presentation, but I have this to say. I didn't hear her mention reading helps to keep the brain ticking, and it should be, helps to prevent dementia. That's what I heard.
She's actually shaking her head.
I'm in agreement with you. And in fact, I'm glad you called in, because you remember I spoke about, and I don't know how much you heard, but I was speaking about the 12 modifiable factors. And one of the factors which I actually did not speak up, but it's on the list of it makes it 12. It's early education, right? The research I was speaking of that was published in the Lancet said after they studied 20,000 people showed that when we expose to education early in life, it opens channels in our brain, and those channels are helpful to us all our lives. So in fact, when we are learning something new, reading all the time, if we learn a new instrument, if we learn a new language, and if we keep ourselves up to date on whatever information there is available, it does help. It does help. So, you are, I'm glad you called in, because inadvertently I didn't say that which I had on my list of things to say. I didn't actually say that particular thing. So thank you so much.
Let her continue because of time. Go ahead.
You're welcome. And in terms of like bringing on the dementia, you mentioned some stuff there. I would like to know what role. Well, you talk about air pollution, okay, and I guess that includes the use of insecticide, especially in the homes. I have seen some persons when they use insecticides or maybe whatever chemical in the home, the instructions or the directions for use clearly state to use in an area where there is plenty of air. But there's some people who use it in like a closed-up room, and they don't try to get out into the fresh air, and they just sit there and inhale it. Well, I could understand the use of insecticide and some chemicals, but perfumes, colognes, they're sweet smelling. And there's some people who like to bask their nostrils in that smell. Now, I want to know what role that has to play in terms of somebody, well, that person, okay, it bringing on dementia in that person, perfume, okay? So I don't know how far it goes. And the final one, what effect does holding a device like a cell phone to your ear to speak or to listen for an overextended period of time, does this bring on dementia in persons? And finally, before I go, I think I heard you made mention about the lockdown and some persons who are experiencing, the symptoms of dementia or Alzheimer, and they were not aware of what was happening. So you tell them to sanitize or wash their hands, they put their hands behind their back. And this is where I am going. And I have often heard too that there were one or two persons who were found on the street, and I think these might have been persons maybe with mental illnesses for whatever reason, and they were more or less like attacked by some police when they were on patrol. And this brings us to the point where I realize that in a lot of other areas, our people are severely lacking, because some of these issues that really affect us on an individual basis, or whether mentally or whatever areas, a lot of our people in position, they are not exposed to this kind of training and information. And so when certain things arise, when they might have to be on patrol, they don't know how to deal with certain people or certain situations because they don't know themselves. So you see, I guess maybe an appeal needs to go out holistically. We have to look at this thing holistically. And I remember I had mentioned that we need a psychiatrist or even a psychologist on the team, because I had brought this up and said it's more than just people being shut down. They're going to have other problems, mental problems and all these sort of things, and social problems, financial problems, and we also need the expertise of the psychiatrists and the psychologists and the sociologists and so on. But I guess people do what they want to do. So I will stay here. So you just answer me, please, and if that is in your purview, how the cell phone and perfumes or colognes, if these contribute to dementia. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, caller. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to get in before the program ended. Yes, thank you very much for your call. I want to deal with the business about the need for more education first, like for the police, because that's very important. I think perhaps you were not listening earlier when I spoke about the need to inform the police, because the police has a very important role to play where it has to do with dementia. So I spoke about that and at quite some length. But I'm glad you mentioned it, because some others might not have heard. The police need to be informed. And one of the things we decided in our organization is that in the near future, because we're celebrating our 7th year in this month, it was 7 years ago that we were formed, that we're going to make contact with the police service and inquire of them if we could come in and do a couple of presentations to their gathered body, so that they could understand what the condition is about and perhaps how they could adjust their behavior to such persons when they would meet them in the street or in the community. So thank you for that. Not only that, I had mentioned that at a recent conference, we have a regional conference of Alzheimer's associations of the Caribbean every other year. And at the recent conference, they made a very good point, a set of points about the need to have the police on board. And if we could get a couple of them to be members of our association as well, that would be great. And not only the police, but because of the similar reasons that you have mentioned and which I spoke about earlier, organizations and companies, if we have big companies around town, if we could get an opportunity to go in to speak to the managers of those companies so that they could inform their workers, the people who are there. So, if they gather together occasionally for a little meeting in their organizations, as some organizations do, they have a day where they invite a speaker, then we could also speak to those organizations and the companies. And we also have a plan to speak to some of the schools as well, and maybe the college to start with, first of all. So that deals with the business of education and educating the community, because that's what we've been doing. We've had many meetings. We meet in church halls, or we respond to specific education when groups invite us to come and speak to them. And the public, is welcome. They can just come anytime we're having a community talk up. They can come and be there. Now, to go back to the business of the insecticide, I think most insecticides have a warning on the outside of the canister, and they say to be used, with where the windows are open, not in an enclosed space. And we've seen from the research that these pollutants can be inhaled and can inflame the brain and can lead to dementia. I don't know specifically which ones of these could do that. So, but I would just say it would not be wise to be using insecticide in a closed environment. We've known that for quite a while. We know it will not be good for the brain. As to the business about holding the device up close to your ear, I haven't seen any research which says specifically it will give you dementia, but I have seen research which says it might give you brain tumors. I have seen that kind of research about. So I would say we should not be holding those mobile phones, cell phones, right up close to our ears. So, that's what I would have to say on that.
I think you've covered quite a lot in terms of answering the questions, but the whole issue that the last item you spoke about, the way we deal with those cell phones, I've questioned, and many other persons, the way how we keep that cell phone so close to bodies. The case that I have is supposed to be lead-based, so when you put your phone in, there's a lead.
That's good. And
we buy the cases from the outlets around town, and they're cheap knockoffs. And I can tell you, okay, let's entertain this call from the public. Call you live, welcome to Voices.
Yes, good afternoon. I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any relationship or link to dementia by the use of aluminum pot, pans, and foil paper? Thank you.
Thank you, caller, for that question. This argument has been around for a while. At first, we were told that it did have a link, and then we got a new batch of research which said there was no link, And then there's the research coming out now saying there might well be a link, so we have to be careful how we use the aluminum foil in our cooking. We should not be using it when we're heating up things and wrapping it and heating it. And I know that's very inconvenient for people because we use it so readily, we make good use of it. But I am not sure if the research is conclusive, but there certainly is a suggestion that we should not be making such use of it as we have done in the past. So a word to the wise is sufficient, and more research needs to be done. Yeah. You know, so here we are. We have been 7 years of the Alzheimer's Association of St. Kitts and Nevis. And incidentally, it's called St. Kitts and Nevis because we are members of Alzheimer's Disease International, and they do not allow countries to have different Alzheimer's association. If there's one country, and this is our federation, it represents both.
Because with our lines, I would have missed that caller. You're free to call back if you can, so we miss you. Very, very interesting information being shared about the aluminum foil. I've heard those questions, so you're a person who can answer about the research that has been done. And we take this caller. Caller, you're live on the program. Welcome to Voices.
Hey, good afternoon, Socrates.
One day, my baby, all day. What's going on with you, man?
Boy, somebody called me, tie me up.
Okay.
They don't want to give me a dementia.
Always lovely.
Good morning, good afternoon, Dr. Raleigh.
Hey,
yes.
good. Miss Henry, is this?
Right.
Hi, Miss Henry. Good to hear you, man.
I'm the honorary member of the association.
Yes, you are. And we missed you. We thought you might have called in a little earlier, but we understand.
Yeah. I was waiting to make my call, and then I got another call.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by duty calls, you must obey.
Of course.
Right, so.
Yes. Now, I listened to some of the questions, but there is an idea that has been going through my head. This is not the first time we hear a number of persons going missing, elderlies. I was wondering if a tracking device could not be used, maybe pin it on their clothes or something like that.
Yes.
If people are known to stray.
Yes. I think that's a good idea. And in fact, I was mentioning earlier that we had the Alzheimer's Association of the Caribbean conference in May of this year. And there was a fellow in Barbados who has developed a tracking device for that very purpose. So. And he says it's not expensive, and it can pinpoint the person to within a couple of feet of where they are.
Right, via GPS.
Yes. And this
is... I said, the last two sets of older men. That's what they had.
Yeah.
The one in Connery still beats me.
Have they found him?
No. And he was seen.
No, that's very sad.
I learned that the one from Newtown was seen somewhere else too, but I haven't heard the police give any report on it.
It's very sad because, as you know...
I was told he was seen in another area where he's actually from.
Yes.
So I think we should start to put a tracking. It could be something you pin to the back where they can't pull it off,
Yes.
And to the COVID and the isolation, I was thinking that could push people into dementia,
Yes.
This thing of not having anybody visit you. I understand the seriousness of having people visit you.
Of course.
But when you have
social interaction.
And contact, with your relatives or somebody for so long. And even when you're well, you have to get dementia, your mind active, You begin to imagine what could happen to your family and the reaction. Because I was thinking as a boy with this COVID and the lockdown and the lock-in for the elderlies.
Yes.
It is likely to lead to an increase in dementia.
It could well do, because we've actually been discussing that in not the Alzheimer's Club, I'm also a member of a seniors group. And some of the seniors have said that with the lockdown, they're feeling isolated and they long to come out.
Even when when they're disabled, it's even worse.
Yes. That must
because you're disabled, you may have mobility problems, and then you can't go out. So I was even telling somebody, when you have these seniors' homes, maybe, I don't know if they could provide some PPE for family members to come and see their relative.
Comes to a whole different level of dialogue.
That's the protective.
Yes, I understand.
Yes, we understand.
Because I was saying, something, or let them go in a certain area.
Yes.
Some of the homes are so isolated from the regular everyday traffic.
Yes, this COVID has presented many problems, Miss Henry, as you know, and you've mentioned some of them.
So I know it is. And another thing with the training, I think the doctors need to be trained. You hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't think they were trained in call it mental or care for the elderly. Let me call it care for the elderly.
Yes.
Somebody told me they took a relative to the doctor who obviously had dementia. But sometimes as old people say, the memory go and come.
Yes.
And when they reached the doctor, they had a nice, pleasant conversation. And the person that they were going back home to hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I know.
I don't know if there's something, some training, something that can be done with the general doctors.
In times past, until recent times, I think only in the last 20 or so years, the physicians they learned about a little bit about they learned a little bit about dementia, but they did not learn about Alzheimer's specifically. It's only in the last 20 or so years. I know when I worked, because I worked in the medical school at Mount Hope for 17 years, and I introduced a specific section on Alzheimer's disease into their curriculum, and it was not there before. I can say that, without any fear of anybody questioning.
You mean in Jamaica?
No, it was in Trinidad. It was in Trinidad, yeah. The medical school at
well,
Mount
maybe
Hope.
you need to target where most of our doctors go. I don't even like those who go to Cuba do it.
I don't know.
Because they're doing general health.
I don't know for sure, but I know it was not part of the general curriculum for medical persons.
Another thing before I hang up. When I listen to the television set, right, you hear the word advertise medication and treatment for people with dementia and Alzheimer's. Are those things available? I mean, of course, they do say the side effects could be deadly for some of the patients.
Mm-hmm.
But do we have any of those products on the market here in St. Kitts?
I haven't heard this thing that you spoke of. But
there's some ads that speak to all these medication that promises a cure. But
I don't think it's a cure, but there's...
Sorry, not a cure, but
Mm-hmm. But you know...
To slow down the onset.
I heard one.
Yes. But
because I said, what do we give people with dementia? What can we do to prevent it? Is there anything you can do?
No, not absolutely. You can't present all cases of dementia, but you can reduce the risk. So we can ourselves be doing things that might prevent us from getting it. Like we spoke about the 12 modifiable risks already. Like if we reduce our risk for hypertension, for diabetes, for getting fat, if we get exercise, if we get enough rest, if we don't stress ourselves out. It's not an absolute cert that we will not get it. But we certainly will reduce our risk.
Minimize risk.
Yes, someone else will get it who didn't do those things that we did. So sometimes it's the luck of the draw, because I know people who seem to have done every last thing the right way, and still they got it. So sometimes we can say that's life, you might say.
So that is it. Because I keep saying every minute you hear somebody walk away, we can't find them.
Yes.
I don't mean the young ones.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's very important, this business. That's why I was saying earlier.
I just start to track them. I mean,
the tracking
because
business.
let me tell you the truth,
Mm-hmm.
When the police don't look once, twice, 3 times, they finish,
Yes.
They finish.
Yes. So if the tracking,
I had a
device,
in-law relative who was seen walking going towards Connery on the main road, and I don't know if God took her, disappeared.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when we bring up this, they say, well, if you can't find her, how you expect us to find her?
Right. Because they disappear into, like, in the old days when there were plenty cane fields about, they could go in there.
Yes, they would find the bodies and so, because
sometime after.
The memory goes back to
where they used to go in childhood, yes, places they used to play or places they used to visit.
Sometimes I think when they're looking for people, that's where they should start.
That's exactly where they should start, where they were, that's where they should start.
Yeah, because, I mean, I heard that one of the missing person was seen where he came from, was seen by people.
Yes. Because
but they did not know that he
was afflicted, troubled.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to train doctors and You don't even give police these tips.
Yes.
Where to start to look. Because you can't start to look where you last saw them, because they keep moving.
Yes, you're quite right,
May the
Ms.
Lord have
Henry.
mercy on all of us and bless the Alzheimer's. Thank you for the education.
Thank you so much
but
for
more
calling.
is needed because a lot of elderly abuse goes on in this country.
Yes, and the abuse happens because people are not educated as to what the condition really is. And they
yes,
get,
and
they
even
get
in terms
frustrated.
of help, because sometimes they do need help.
Yes.
Sometimes you want strapped with this person with Alzheimer's and dementia. It wear you down, it wear you out. It was if they are aggressive. And I call upon family members too. Sometimes you got a large family and they leave the thing up to one.
That's right, yes. And it's too much of a burden for one person.
It kills you.
Yes, and it often does. Yes.
Yeah, it kills you because every day the stress. So I want to commend all those who have relatives with Alzheimer's and dementia. And the Lord strengthen you. All right then.
Thanks for calling, Miss Henry. Thank you so much.
Fabulous contribution. I'm going to pause now for a word from the sponsors, and we'll be right back shortly. And we continue with Dr. Joan Wallins on the issue of Alzheimer's.
Here are your Horsfield's Value Mart IGA Value Club Blue Tag specials from July 15 through 28. 32-ounce Gatorade, just $4.99. Hawaiian Punch drinks, $11.99. Dannon and Activia yogurts, 4 packs, fit and light, just $12.99. Cole's garlic bread, toast, $12.99. Granola bars, just $10.99 per pack. Pastaroni or rice-a-roni, just $4.99. And now, our very low weekly value deal. Essential Everyday and IGA Honey Beer, $12.99. Breyers Ice Cream, 48 ounces, just $20.99. Colgate Toothpaste, $9.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
You're listening to Voices. Welcome back to our callers and viewers. And we go straight to the phone lines. Call you live on Voices. We want to miss that caller. Okay. Is your call? Caller, good day live. You're on Voices. Welcome back to the program.
Greetings to everybody, in Jesus' name, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, I would like to say that I've heard years back, quite a number of years back, that what happened is that people who read a lot, read regularly, study regularly, that it drives down the risk. Of course, it is not foolproof. It is not foolproof. But generally, it drives down the risk of Alzheimer's disease. And what I've heard in that same person, what they've said is that people with Alzheimer's disease, the brains have certain marks on them. And what they saw is that they have studied people who did regular reading and studying and that sort of stuff, whose brains had the same marks, but they were not suffering from Alzheimer's disease. And it was believed because of the regular reading and studying and so that they did, that drove down the risk of them getting Alzheimer's disease. So that was also recommended to be in regular reading and studying and that sort of stuff. But that would drive down the risk. Like I said, it is not foolproof, and we could name people who are regular readers and so who have suffered from it.
Quite so.
Generally, it was said that doing such, it is believed that would lower your risk a whole lot from developing Alzheimer's disease. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
You're welcomed. Unfortunately, the good doctor have another appointment. She should have left at 1 o'clock, and she stayed on to entertain some calls. So I'm going to give a chance to wrap up and speak to what can happen in September, and then we will have her back there by the time, God's willing, and speak more on the topic from expertise. Doc?
Okay. Yes, thank you. And thanks for the caller who just called in. And I'm glad he mentioned that it was not foolproof. I mean, some people have read and kept on reading and still got dementia. But what the point there is that we need to exercise our brains, and
Yes,
like if you know,
active.
so to keep the channels open and so on, and to reduce the risk for atrophy. You know, if you don't use it, you will lose it, so to speak. So that was the point. So this is our 7th anniversary. We've done work in the community, we've done work with individuals and families, and we will continue to do that. September is World Alzheimer's Month, so that will give us another opportunity to come out and try to interface with the public in a big and meaningful way, to continue to create more awareness about the condition, and hopefully to create a situation where life would be better for persons living with dementia and their caregivers. You know, so we need, and I must, before I leave, I must put a call out. I have to say that we've been in the business 7 years. Some of us we're all 7 years older than we were at that time, and we were really trying to find some new members, some younger members. So the call is out there. If you feel touched and moved to work with persons who care about people living with Alzheimer's disease, you don't have to have a relative with dementia yourself. You don't even have to know anybody or any friends with dementia. You just need to have a desire to help and to create awareness and to ensure a better life for people living with dementia and their caregivers. So call us, join us, and we'll be happy to have you serve in this work.
You have a website you can list or a number to contact?
Yeah, they can call. I have a number, and the number is 760-5182. So, and we also have a Facebook page, okay, and you can find it just by looking at Alzheimer's Association of St. Kitts and Nevis. But the best way to get to us would be to call the number 760-5182. All righty, and I must leave at this point, but it's been...
On that note, we want to thank you very much for giving up your time, extended because you had an appointment. And it's been an absolute pleasure and an education for the many. I know the interest is there for people who want to join and continue discussion. You gave a number. We can only hope that it bears fruit. And by this time in September, we would have the police on board, be able to make presentation to them. So their awareness in assisting in cases where we have our people, our elders, our family or loved ones who will be affected by this. So we pause as the good doctor make her grand exit. Enjoy your lunch.
Thank you.
Run to Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store now and get a chance to win free groceries for 1 year. By popular demand, Cashback is back. But this time, Cashback is back with more quality appliances, more great prices and fantastic deals, more of Hosford's fabulous FlexPay payment plan, and more free groceries. A whole year of free groceries. Come to Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store today and get absolutely free groceries with every hire purchase and a chance to win free groceries for 1 year. Great deals on furniture and appliances. Get cash back for free groceries with FlexPay hire purchase and a chance to win free groceries for 1 year with every $500 spent. All great reasons to shop at Hosford's Furniture and Appliances in Ashley Furniture Home Store this coupon season. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Welcome back to the program. I'm told there are lots of calls now queuing up for the doctor. She would have left the studio to for another engagement. I'm left on my own, but the program has got about 15 or so minutes to go to before we wrap things up. So, are there any call on line? Okay. So yes, we had the good Dr. Rawlings in the studio, speaking about what has happened over the 7 years since the formation of the St. Kitts Nevis Alzheimer's Association. And we go straight to the phone lines. Caller, you have on Voices. Welcome to the program.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're welcome to Voices.
Yes. I'm calling to say something else. I've been coming across recently some stats that says that countries that have been most vaccinated, I think I heard it, the top 15 countries which are the most vaccinated have been the countries with the most COVID cases. And I think it is the least 15 vaccinated countries. They have the lowest COVID cases. Gibraltar, which is boasting of 100% vaccination among its people, its COVID cases has been going through the sky high. Malta, which have been boasting over 70% vaccination, COVID cases have also been going sky high, as some of the examples that are being given of countries that are among the most vaccinated. Right, and they are the ones who have the highest cases of COVID, and the least vaccinated countries have the lowest cases of COVID. For example, such people like Dr. Robert Malone, who invented the mRNA technology that they are using in the COVID vaccine. He pointed this out, and others have pointed these statistics out that I've been hearing recently. So I just wanted to mention that issue as well. And above all else, I'd like us to know that only Jesus Christ's blood can save us from hell, and we need to put our faith in Jesus Christ and repent of our sins, or we would all end up in hell, or who do not do that. And hell is a place that nobody would want to go. Only his blood saves us to be in heaven with him for all eternity.
I hear you.
So thank you very much.
But can I ask you a question before you leave? Are you making a correlation between the persons who have taken the vaccine as a cause for the increase in the numbers?
Well, I'm saying this is what the stats say. There seems to be some correlation, and there seems to be some argument as to why that is the case. So, but all I can say is these are the stats that I've been hearing.
Yes.
For recently, and some argument for correlation, some argument for it because of the spike protein, which has now been recognized as which has now lately been found out to be a poison and a disease-causing agent to the human body. The spike protein that is used in the COVID vaccine to spur further production in the COVID, to spur further production of spike protein in the human body.
Yes.
With the hope of developing antibodies to make us immune to the COVID. Things have not seemed to be going 100% as they would like to be going.
The thing is, you read so many different material, so many experts on the topic. How do you know which is to trust, which to believe? I know you're going to tell me is Christ, etc. the only. I understand that. But in terms of what's happening globally, how does one know which one to trust, which one to accept, which one to ignore? With all many.
Okay. I was just reading. I just came across an article by MIT, the Massachusetts institution, I think, and they are saying, unlike what you hear, they did a study. MIT did a study, and based upon this study, they said vaccine hesitancy is founded upon being well informed and sophisticated, and it ain't the people being fooled easily and that sort of stuff. According to the MIT study, they said vaccine hesitancy has been found upon being well informed and sophisticated and that sort of stuff. So people, you just have to study. You just have to find things out. You just have to make up your own mind. Don't let nobody make up your mind for you. You do your own study, your own research, and you make up your own mind as to what you think is the best route for you to go.
So it's not about the more information, it's the right information.
Well, what happens is that when you listen to all sides of the debate, you're put in a better position of being well informed. But when you just listen to one side of the debate, then you're put in a position of being easily being misled. So you have to listen as much side as possible of the debate, and that way you'll be better informed as to what is right and what is wrong, and you make up your own mind.
Certainly. Well said. Appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. In the U.S., we look quite a bit at the U.S. to see what's happening there in terms of the vaccination, the target they had to get the 70% herd immunity, etc. We're now hearing a catchphrase about the epidemic of the unvaccinated. They're saying those that would have taken it are the ones who are showing, the figures are going down, except for the Delta variant, which is now affecting more of a younger demographic. And they're blaming the fact that those who are unvaccinated are saying they're the reason why this is spreading. So you hear the phrase about an epidemic of the non-vaccinated. And that's an ongoing saga because that was, the U.S. to some extent were looked at as an example as to how they would turn things around, etc. And we go to the phone lines to accept this caller. Caller, you're live on Voices. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
Socrates.
Sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Not bad. Good afternoon to all the listeners. Is the beautiful lady behind the control?
Yes, she's definitely here. I was going to give some kudos before I left, but she's here, so she's listening.
Is she smiling?
I can't tell because she's here wearing a mask, but she's shaking her head.
Oh, okay.
She's wearing a mask.
Sister Shirley, good afternoon. Socrates.
Sir.
Let me quickly tell me Cousin Henry. Cousin Henry, me can't find Miss Peters and me can't find Miss Brown. Me can't find none out of the two. So me don't know what maybe you can have to come up here with other information. And Socrates,
Sir.
quickly let me answer the question that you asked back just now. Mm-hmm. Which information you forgot to?
I said there's more information, more or the right one.
Okay. The right one?
Which is the right one?
I don't know which one is the right one, but for sure, I don't think it's from WHO. They lie.
You're not accepting anything they say?
No. Somebody come and tell you that one market, not China, where they just slaughter and not sanitize.
Mm-hmm.
Man eat snake.
Bat.
Then man go to bat. Now that the truth slowly come. You hear BBC News last weekend?
No.
BBC News last weekend. Hear what I say? It could. They still not coming the truth. Still not coming the truth. It could leak from one lab. Mm-hmm. And it is possible. What stupidness is that? They know where it come from.
Well, there's been that speculation all along. Is it a lab? What is a marketplace, etc.? So you've had that dichotomy of the source.
Socrates, you can jump from the market to a lab, and you still are gonna tell me you jump from snake to bat. From bat now to it could be a lab. From a marketplace to a lab, it's two completely different entity.
Yeah, but it's not definitive. They're not saying.
Why you want me to believe?
No, they're saying it could. I'm working with you, but they're saying it could. They're not being definitive.
No, they must say so because the truth out. The truth out. So they must say so now because they're not going to come right away. So slowly, they might come.
Mm-hmm.
But I lied this. So me not want to hear nothing from them.
Okay.
You understand me?
Definitely.
And Socrates, me tell you, ask Mr. Boss, me send one video clip there with the print towards them funds and American money and the US $20. When it turn them over, it show one face away, one mask, one pandemic. Then done plan this years, month after years, it just a come to now. In the Bible, prophecy fulfilled. And that's how me try to tell me cousin Henry.
Yes.
So please, reveal that next Monday, and we can go. Let me expose WHO. Can you do that for me? Look, Panama, look, play over and over. And they go explain the whole something. You see, America knock down them building and them Bin Laden. Get the world to compromise with them.
Yeah.
He write upon the money. He write upon the money. Some that plan, but the Antichrist.
I've seen the demonstration.
Cousin Henry and the Antichrist. Socrates, please, let Mr. Bacchus, watch out for me that next Monday when we come with the facts, the world will know. All right?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Good. Okay.
Okay. I had a conversation over the weekend with a friend of mine because we were speaking about there was a video clip that says shows a large demonstration in the street, but the information is that millions demonstrating in the street of France against government mandate that without the vaccination you can't eat. Now I said to my friend, we don't know if this is a factual representation of, but that's the general consensus. And we go back to the phone lines. Caller, you're live on Voices. Welcome to the program.
Yes, Socrates, I just wanted to say something again.
Yes.
Now, we have to remember, because we seem to have a wrong idea of things. We have to remember, not because something comes from an official or government organization, make it right or make it wrong.
Or factual.
We know many times official organizations, including government organizations, they spread propaganda a lot of the time.
Quite so.
The same thing can also be said. Of non-official organization and non-governmental organizations. They too, many of the time, spread propaganda as well. So truth comes from all directions. So what people have, like I said, what people have to do, you have to study as much as possible all the sides of the argument and come to your own conclusion. And that's why the Bible says, prove all things and hold steadfast to that which is good. In other words, you just don't take none for granted. You first prove it. And in the Bible, the Bible standard for proving all things is really that which is in accordance with the Bible. Even the Apostle Paul, who was an apostle of God, even he commended the Bereans for not taking what he said just like that, but they went to the Bible to prove what he said, whether it was true or not, and he recommended them for that.
They had a reference.
He was an apostle of God. Hello?
They had a reference in the Bible. Hello? They had a reference point in the Bible.
Exactly. So the point is, you won't take none from anybody, be they government or non-governmental, be they official or non-official organizations. You won't take none from the Bible, just like that. But do your own study, all sides of the debate, and you come to your own conclusion as you see best. That's the best I can say concerning these vaccine, COVID issues. This is the best I can say. And above all else, once the Bible talks to the matter, that is
the authority.
Because the Bible is the final authority in everything. The Bible, yes. Thank you.
I got you, Gregory. There are some that would differ with you, but the fact is there is a case of information overload where people are now coming to the conclusion or the realization that they don't know who to trust because you read a source, you're inclined to believe, and then you're told, well, don't listen to that source. This is the only source you should fit to, but you need as much information as you can, or you simply trust blindly. And that is a problem that many in the world have. The people who make a good argument why they would not take the vaccine, others will give you another one. So we're caught up with this thing between a rock and a hard place, damned if you do, damned if you don't. As you say, do as much research as possible and then make your own personal decision. I advocate neither for or against. I chose that platform for a reason. People must do their own research as best they can and be guided by their own decisions. And we go back to the lines for another caller. You may be the last caller.
Yes, good afternoon.
How are you?
I am fine, and you?
Wonderful. Great hearing from you.
I am just calling really to hail up Monstrat, my brother in Christ.
Yes.
It's wonderful to hear your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you so very much for that. I know he's excited and delighted to hear your voice also. He's been busy on this program for some time. Monserrat, of course, is listening, and he plans to call back on Monday with some more information that help us to understand this whole debate about the vaccine. He's convinced it's the work of the Antichrist this time, and others will say no. So voices is for the people to call and make their contribution, debate. We keep it civil, we keep it constructive, and we come to the close of another episode today. We had earlier on today Dr. Joan Wallins. She was here to speak on the occasion of the 7th anniversary of the formation of the St. Kitts Nevis Alzheimer's Association. September, she says, is World Alzheimer's Month. She's due back then. We've had contributions from all the various callers and various topics. We want to thank you once again for calling to Win FM Voices, making your contribution. God's willing, we'll be back next Monday at 11 a.m. My name is Socrates. I wish you peace, love, and a stress-free life. Bye.